So only seen 5 individuals. Last night we came out after we closed the show, and I think we counted 7 hyena with close to the lions, but they didn't do too much. They just sat there and they waited. Nothing like what we see on a lot of the documentaries of hyenas getting all aggressive and moving and chasing lions away. Matt asks a very good question. Would the hyena be keeping food away as a higher ranking hyena? Definitely. There's definitely a hierarchy in hyena dynamics. There's the alpha female or the matriarch, and she does most of the feeding, and only when she's satisfied will she allow those below her to feed. And the males, unfortunately, are always the last. Even her daughter will feed before any other male in the group. So there's definitely a bit of dynamic, but we haven't seen too much of it here. There was a bit of a squabble before over the zebra leg bone, but there was not too much in it. There's not too much to go around, but they will get some nourishment out of the bone marrow. So while we sit here and watch these hyenas and see what it is that they get up to, we are going to go back to Scott, who I believe is relocated on the Nkuhuma with her little cub.
So it looks like they have decided to take a little bit of a breather here. The cub has just repositioned behind the log, so maybe we should reposition too. It was interestingly attempting to suckle. There you can just see its little paws. So let's reposition quickly. But yeah, it was taking a little bit of a suckle earlier on. And let's see if this isn't going to work for you. I'm worried that VM's camera might be a little bit too high. I guess that's as good as it's going to get for the time being. Not the best views, but hopefully they're going to continue to move around. So that is a likely scenario, that they're just going to catch their breath and then continue searching for their missing pride member. We've got no idea where the rest of the pride is, or at least I don't. I was off this morning. I'm not sure if the others who were out copied any updates. Look at how ferociously that little cub is panting with its little pot belly. And I can sympathize with them because it is extremely hot afternoon, even though there's quite a breeze blowing, and we fortunately don't have a fur coat to deal with, but they do.
Oh, I don't know what happened there, everybody. Sorry about that. The gremlins strike again, but we're on the hunt for those lions that we saw yesterday and that I also spotted this morning with the little cubbies. Now we're in that same area, but since this morning they could have moved off a little bit into the shade, or they could have moved quite far, but we'll still comb the area. It's rather difficult looking in this long grass, but nonetheless we will still keep looking. Just off behind us on the other side of the Mara River, it looks like a storm coming our way once again. So once we get to a position where we can turn around and have a look, I will do so. But I think this evening might be a little bit wet again. Now, Ravinda, you want to know if there are any meerkats in the reserve. Ravinda, I think the other day I did see some proper meerkats, or the surrogates as they're called, but generally I think they are more, so in other words there's not a lot of them, because if there are, because I'm sure I did see some the other day, but I might be mixing it up with the million other days of times I've been in the bush, and I might have mixed things up. But generally they occur in bigger numbers in a lot drier areas. So the desert conditions they are very happy with, and in the Kalahari and the Southern African sub-region, there's a lot of them there. But I do have a feeling that I saw some the other day on the other side of the river. So I'm pretty sure that there are some here, Ravinda, but not a lot. I think I see some lions up front, everybody. Yes, I do. There they are. Let's go forward and see what they're doing. I think they're having a bit of a showdown with these elephants, but luckily the vehicle in front has not spotted the lions and have continued on their way. But we've got this female now off to the side of us here. She maybe stood up because of the elephants, but let me just try and get a nice view of her. And there are the little cubbies there as well. I can see them, and they're right in the same place that we left them yesterday. So let me just move forward. I don't think that they'll be too worried about these elephants because they're on the other side of the lugger. This is the exact spot I saw them this morning and where we left them yesterday, so they haven't moved at all. There's a little cubby. Hello, lions. There we go. Adrian, I think you might be able to go in on that. Little cubby looking towards us. There we go. So we've managed to find them. Fantastic. I'm very happy about that. I like it when I go out with a mission and it is accomplished. And there we go. So it seems Scott's got some, or a cub with the lioness. Well, at least we've been able to find some cubbies as well. Looks like Mommy's just laid down again now. And if these guys weren't putting their heads up and looking towards us, we wouldn't be able to see them at all. I think they might have been disturbed. That's why they stood up, because the vehicle in front would have been able to see them, surely. But lucky for us, I spotted them from a way off. And now we can sit and see what these little cubbies get up to. They're always full of energy, aren't they? And lovely to watch the little guys. And one of them looks like he's irritated with the flies, shaking his head. You can see a little bit of ear flicks going on there. It's nice and breezy, so the flies probably aren't too bad, at least. But there is a lot of elephants in front of us as well. Just that Adrian can give you the picture of what is around. Before we go back to those little cubbies, I'm sure they're not going to be going anywhere. So there's lots of them all moving through. And that's maybe why that female maybe stood up. Maybe there was a bit of a trumpet or something from these elephants. But those little cubbies are moving around now. I wonder what they're up to. And there we go, going in back on them. So there was a leg of a female. Not sure what she's up to. Look, maybe probably rolling onto her side so that the little cubbies can have a drink. Juliet, you want to know if a male lion can identify his own cubs? Yes, he can, Juliet. It's a lot down to the smell and the sight of them, and the noise that they make. Obviously not quite as well as the females, but he'll know that he's sired some youngsters, and so he obviously will allow them to jump on him and play a little bit, and they are very tolerant of their own cubs. And every now and then we're seeing just a little bit of white. There's another movement of one again. Unfortunately, I can't go any closer than this, everybody, because we've got a very deep lugger between us and them, and we're not going to be able to go through there. That's a bridge too far for me. I know I definitely would get stuck in this lugger, and I don't know if I would get out. So yes, I'm not scared of getting stuck, everyone, but I think I would be walking home from there. So we're going to stay here for a little while longer and see what these cubs get up to. But speaking of lions and their cubbies, Scott's still with the lion and the cub. Let's head on over to him.
So things have stabilized here, and as you can see, this lucky little cublet is having a milkshake. Interesting that it's still wanting to drink. Maybe it's because it's thirsty, I don't know. But its belly was so full a few moments ago that... Oh, bless you, Mom. That I'm quite surprised that she's suckling. So a couple of surprises from these lions today, moving around in the heat of the day, as well as the fact that this cub was interested in trying to suckle. It looks like it's trying to possibly work another nipple now. Thankfully, it's got no competition from any other little cublets. Nina, you'd like to know how long will a lioness produce milk for after she has given birth? And usually for about kind of 6 months is the average age, but it can be a little bit longer than that they will provide the cubs with milk. It all kind of depends on the individual, just like us as humans. Sorry, not Nina, Dina. Whoops. And yeah, so anywhere between 6 and 9 months at the latest will be the kind of lactation period of a lioness. Thankfully for her, though, like I said, she's only got this one cub to look after now. They can have as many as 4 cubs to deal with, which obviously puts a lot more strain on the mother's responsibilities and requirements. I'm not too sure what happened to the other cubs. None of us are really. We haven't been seeing too much of this pride over the last month and a half or so that I've been back in town. You still thirsty, youngster? Well, you better hope Mom doesn't take you walking after you've eaten all this food and drunk all this milk, because then you're really going to battle with your little belly dragging along the grass. Now, I'm not too sure if this little cub has any sicknesses of sorts, or if it's just been battling to compete with any of the other cubs, but it's definitely, especially a couple of days ago, wasn't really looking in good shape, but it has already taken a turn for the better after being able to cash in on a good meal in the form of that zebra that you've seen with, well, the remains of, that the hyenas are busy chewing on with Steve. Wonderful stuff. VM and I were just discussing who is going to go and look for Thandi this afternoon, so we need to have a chat with Steve and see if he's going to possibly leave those hyenas. Speaking of Steve, he's still with them, so why don't you get a quick update on what's happening over there.
And welcome back from potential rain in the Masai Mara. We have a very nice sunny day here, and the hyenas are all over the place, folks. We are not sure what is going on. I have a really strong feeling that Amber Eyes is somewhere in the bushes here, because the wind has picked up and these hyenas keep getting spooked. They're running left, they're running right. This one ran to the dam. We're really not sure what's going on. And there is a hooded vulture as well, having a little drink. Isn't that a pretty bird? Perfectly specialized for what it does. Head deep in the carcasses of dead animals. Having feathers on the head would be a disadvantage. But see, the hyenas of the other 3 are somewhere in the bushes on that side. Not sure what they are doing, but I have a feeling that Amber Eyes is somewhere nearby. I believe she was seen on the dam camp about an hour and a half ago. But we have Rexon from Djuma. Here's a vehicle down there having a look, see if he can see anything. At the moment he hasn't communicated anything, but he has just arrived. But it's lovely to spend some time with these hyenas and see what it is that they're getting up to. Can you see how interested it is all the time? Very interested. Remember, their noses are so powerful. They can pick up the smell of, we don't even know, of a huge amounts of things in all different sort of forms. And it probably can smell that lion somewhere, and it gets a bit of a spook. And I was just having a look at Amber Eyes last night and commenting on what a huge animal that is. Such a huge animal. Definitely not a lioness I'd like to mess with, and I think these hyenas have learnt that too. While we were waiting for you all to come back, one of the hyenas had a bit of a bloody wound on its right back hip. Whether that was from a hyena bite or from competition with the lionesses, we're not sure. Didn't look too serious though. These animals have got very, Very good healing properties when it comes to injuries. It's broken legs and things that are the problem, but wounds on the skin generally are sorted out pretty quickly. And you can see how that vulture is not at all concerned with the hyena. And another mud wallower. For Ralph, he loves his mud wallowers and his hyenas, and here we have a hyena loving the coolness of the water. Really messing it up for anybody who wants to drink that, because that is going to be revolting afterwards. Do you not agree? So from these spotted animals here in the Sabi sands, we're going to stay with them for a little bit longer. Seb's going to get his drone out in a moment and see if we can get an aerial visual. And while we do that, we're going to be going back up to Ralph, who has got his lions.
Thanks, Steve. And yes, the little cubbies are playing now. So I just repositioned to see if we can get a better view on them. There you can see them. There's a bit of rough and tumble going on in the grass, but sometimes they do disappear. And we're just seeing the tops of them. The grass is rather long here, but luckily we're really lucky that we've spotted these lions from a distance, because that female who's just off on the right there, I think you can see her ear, she just stood up. So that was very lucky. But like I said yesterday, the more you practice, the luckier you get. Cenac, are you wondering if a bird of prey would be able to snatch up a cub? Yes, Cenac, it is possible, especially when the adults or the lionesses leave the little youngsters in a den site or in a particular area, and then they go off in search of food, or they go hunting. Sometimes they also just go off and wait in anticipation of a hunt. You could have black eagle or the Verreaux's eagle or the crowned eagle coming down and taking a little cub quite easily. I mean, they are capable of taking monkeys, they're capable of taking impala, and obviously the mongoose, like we saw a bit earlier. So a little cub like that is actually very easily become prey to one of the larger of the birds of prey. I mean, I know that even crowned eagles have been known to take little children in the past, so it's definitely possible. So the female looks like she's lying now on her back, and I'm pretty sure that one or two of those tiny little cubs are probably having a drink. And there we see another female rolling over. So we're getting to see nice little glimpses of them, which is always very nice. It's a little bit unfortunate that the grass is so long here, but we've just got to be patient, and you do start to see them playing around and jumping in the long grass there. Lots of tail flicks, so lots of fun happening there, I think. So yesterday, if you guys didn't, or if you weren't on the sunset safari yesterday with us, we followed these two females, and they've got, it seems to be 4 cubs that are around 2 or 3 months old, and then they've got 4 cubs which are very young. So yesterday it looked like they wanted to hunt, and it seemed like they left the cubs and they walked on as if they were going to hunt, but there were 3 of the tiny little cubs that were very naughty and continued on following the females, and this is where we left them yesterday, and they're still here. But that's it. Look at them playing from one group of lions to another. Let's send you on over to Brent, and hopefully he's got a better view than we do.
Well, thanks to Jamie for letting us know where the Olololo Angama pride were, and it seems like they caught a warthog during the day today, but with this many lions, there's not much left on that warthog, and there's quite a lot of hungry lions about. Looks like a big male warthog, so a decent meal if there's a few of you. And just to let you know, David, the dish Eastor is now coming across my comms, trying to talk to Rebecca. So I think he's picked up the wrong radio. So there we go. Not much left on that warthog, but there's still a lot of hungry lions left. So I think they weren't here when we came down the hill, so they must have caught it while we were searching for the musketeers, and when Jamie went to pick up Graham on the way back, she spotted them here. Now there are, if I remember correctly, 12 cubs in this pride. So if you have a look at the cubs, that some of them are getting up, some of them don't have full bellies, some of them have overly full bellies, but none of the lionesses are sated. So there's a very good chance with a storm coming and the wind picking up that they're going to be on the hunt again. Now remember, this is coming to you 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. We are in the Mara Triangle, and we're with one of the largest prides in the Northern Triangle, enjoying a bit of pork for the evening. As I said, it's not nearly enough to keep them well fed, and they're certainly going to be hunting again tonight as it gets darker. Oh, let's go across to the right a little bit. There's a lovely little greeting ceremony going on. Look at that. And you can see how strong the wind is with the grass moving there. Oh, it's creating some excellent visuals. Hopefully you guys will be able to get some nice screenshots. Remember to share your screenshots with the hashtag Safari Live. There we go. Well, it could be a little bit of a... No, not just yet. I thought there might be a little... Yes, there's an argument about to happen. So one of the cubs is lying on what's left of the carcass, and one of the adult females is trying to get a little bit of the meat. And look at that cub's ears. Look how flat they are. Every time... Let's see if she tries to sneak a little bit of meat. That's definitely a young boy. Look at his tail swishing. He is upset. Don't come near my meat, Mom or Auntie. Anyway, you can see the lionesses are not full at all as they walk around, trying to get some little pieces of the carcass, but the cubs are not sharing today. Now, at this time of the year, it's always quite tough for the lion prides, as the migration is not here, the easy days are over, and they mostly live off warthog at this time of the year. There we go, giving up on trying to get any of the meat. Means the ladies are going to have to work hard again this evening. Now remember, if you have any questions for us, hashtag Safari Live on whatever platform you're watching. It's amazing that we've followed these cubs now for nearly a year, and some of them were tiny tots in June, and literally we found them when they were weeks old, and now look at them. There's not one tiny tot left amongst us. They're a marauding horde of teenagers. Isn't that a scary thought? And those poor females having to deal with stroppy teenagers who won't share any meat. Now, of course, the lionesses will prioritize the cubs getting fed before themselves, to a degree. If it does become very, very prominent that the females need food, they will eat first, because if they don't eat and they are not able to provide food for the rest of the pride, the whole pride will expire. There are a lot of warthogs in this area. Now we're going to send you to some different lions all the way back in South Africa, and unlike this pride of lions, those lions like to hunt buffalo.
Well, we are certainly being very spoilt with lions this afternoon, Ralph, Brent and I. So what Veerman and I are thinking is that we're probably going to mix things up and go and search for Thandi, who is a leopardess who has a tiny little furball cub at the moment. And I think that the likelihood of her and that cub showing us a good time is probably a little bit better than this lioness and this cub. Not to say we're going to have any luck with Thandi, and we may just come straight back to this lioness. We'll just see how thing goes. But VM's quite confident that Thandi's still going to be in the area where she's been camping out with the cub. He was filming her yesterday evening and seems to think that there might still be, or at least she might still be quite full from the warthog that she hadn't finished feeding on yesterday evening. So maybe she finished it this morning, relaxed with the cub for today, and may take us hunting with her this evening. As you can see, this cub continues to suckle, and I'm blown away by it. I'm also blown away by the fact that Mom's allowing it to continue to suckle, because it's full-bellied and it's already been suckling for quite a while this afternoon. Ravinda, you'd like to know, why do lions not have spots like leopards? Well, interestingly, they do actually have rosettes. They're just very difficult to see. You can see a few very faint spots there. When cubs are very young, they are definitely more prominent, the kind of spots on their coats, and as they become older, they have they tend to fade. And I guess that's because lions probably have evolved to not require as intricate a camouflage as the cheetah and the leopard, possibly because of the fact that they hunt in groups, which allows them to ambush their prey with a bit of help, not alone, like cheetah and leopard are very often. But that doesn't have spots, and if you think of most of the big cats throughout the world, a lot of them are spotted, especially all the different species of leopards. I mean, tigers aren't spotted, but they've got their own very intricate markings and camouflage. But again, I mean, lions are one of the only social cats on the planet. I guess mountain lions aren't, and they have a very similar looking coat, one kind of set color throughout. So it's not only the lions of Africa, but also the mountain lions of America that look quite similar. Not the best camouflage. Alrighty, well, I think we're going to leave these guys be. They won't be too difficult to find if we do want to come back a little bit later. And I think there's a strong chance that they're probably going to head towards the Vuyatela Dam a little bit later, where Steve thinks Amber Eyes is kind of hiding out in the bushes, and it would make sense that Amber Eyes is somewhere there nearby after quenching her thirst and being very, very full-bellied. Tom, you'd like to know what would happen if Thandi's cub and this little lion cub came across one another. Well, if their parents weren't around, it would be very, very interesting. Who knows, maybe they would even play with one another. It's fair to say that Thandi's cub is a lot smaller, and it would be kind of, it may get bullied by this older cub. I'm not too sure. It's something that probably never really happens in nature, because a little lion cub won't move on its own, nor will a small leopard cub. They'll only move with their parents around, and if they do bump into any of the, the opposite species, their mothers will probably try and fight with one another, create a decoy while the cubs scatter. But, hypothetically speaking, if we were to just plonk them together, it would be very interesting to see what happens. Wonderful stuff. Well, I'm not too sure. Maybe Brent will have some more insight as to what would happen between a lion cub and a leopard cub meeting up out in the bush, because you're going up to him now in Kenya. You can ask him for his thoughts.
Oh dear, I think it would be very bad for the leopard cub, because even at a young age, the lion cubs are much bigger, and they would kill the leopard cub, unfortunately. And that is the nature of the beast, or the beasties, as you would like. But I think the leopard cub would try escape as much as possible, probably head for a tree. And we've seen leopard cubs do that from hyenas, from wild dogs, from lions, adult lions. But I think the cubs, if without adults, the lion cubs, especially a group of lion cubs, would try to kill the leopard cub. And I think the leopard cub would try look for the safety of the trees. So they are able to perform incredible feats of agility to get up trees in danger, even at a young age. Let's move forward a little bit, see if we can see a bit more of what's happening behind those bushes. So Ian is wondering, how far is it typically between lion prides in the Mara? Now Ian, it depends very much about what part of the Mara you're in. The lion prides here, their territories and home ranges are much, much smaller than the territories of the lions in the Sabi Sands. So let's take the Nkuhuma pride, who Scott was with a little bit earlier. They probably have about 8,000 to 9,000 hectares that they range over, and they have very definite dry season and wet season ranges. Whereas the lions here in the Mara very much stick to the same area throughout the year. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to see too much more from here. Just lots of heads in the grass. And there we go. You can see the warden from the Mara Triangle there to make sure people don't misbehave, drive too close, or not let too many vehicles come to the lions. So here, the Olololo and Angama pride probably never extends pretty much further than about 4,000 hectares. So about half the size of the Nkuhuma's territory, but bordering on them, you've got the small sausages, or the Winyo pride, you've got the marsh breakaways, you've got the Mara River pride. So the density of lions is a lot higher here in the Masai Mara than it is in the Sabi Sands or the Greater Kruger, for example. Now, parts of the Greater Kruger have a much higher density. If you look onto the basalt plains to the east of the Kruger, on the edge of the Lubombo Mountains, there the lion prides are far closer together. It all depends on the area. So there's no one sort of rule. It all just depends on where they are. So if you head further south from here, towards the big sausage pride, they've got a much bigger territory than the small sausage or the Angamas, but also there's a lot wider area there between the escarpment and the river. So if you go from big sausage territory, you go into Serena pride, Egyptian goose, border pride, and the Ngarari pride. So there's a lot more space there, therefore the lion territory is a little bit more spread out. But there's definitely a far higher density of lions here in the Mara than there is in the Greater Kruger. Now, one must remember that the Mara National Reserve is about 150,000 hectares, so just over 300,000 acres, plus the conservancies are about 200,000 hectares. So 400 and something thousand acres. And if you take the Greater Kruger, you're looking at about a 2.7 million hectare, so close on 5 million acres, actually over 5 million acres, and it's far drier, so there's a lot less density of prey species, therefore they have far bigger home ranges, and the lions that live in the driest areas have the bigger home ranges. The lions that live along the rivers and in the wetter areas have smaller home ranges. So it all depends on what area the lions are living in. So it looks like there's some lions there supplementing their warthog with a bit of milk. Now, lion cubs will nurse till about 6 months old, and about 6 months old they also lose their milk teeth. And I think those guys are getting pretty close to getting a smack from mom for drinking. It looks like there are two little boys. And, well, we're going to sit here for a little bit longer. There's a possibility the hyenas will come in. There is a possibility the hyenas will come in. There's a den not too far from here. But there is a possibility that the females might get up and try and catch something else before it gets too dark. But let's go see where Rolf is, since he's left his lions.
Thanks, Brent. And yes, I did leave those lions because they made their way a little bit into the grass, and so in the end it was almost impossible to see them. So I thought we would carry on a little bit, because everybody seems to have found quite a number of lions today, so we've got ample opportunity to see them, and I thought maybe we'll come and see what else we can find. Now, this storm just off to our right, which I do want to let you just have a look from here, is fast approaching, and it looks like quite a big one. And speaking of storms, it seems the school group is not going to be joining us anymore because they're all snowed in. So good luck to everybody there. Please keep safe, and unfortunately they won't be joining us, but you guys stay safe, and we'll see you when it's not so snowed in. Lucky for us, this is just a bit of rain, so we're not going to be getting any snow with it. But it does make our roads pretty sloppy and slushy, almost like when you've got a bit of that sort of slushy snow on the road. It's quite similar. You slide around almost exactly the same as snow. I've got experience with both, and the substrate is almost identical when you've got that hard substrate underneath and that slushy mud on top. So nice to think about that. So everybody, I'm going to continue on, see if we can find any black rhino in the area. But while I'm doing that, let's send you on over to my good friend Herbie, who's in South Africa and is on foot.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Herbert Koza, and with me is David. And we are out this afternoon, moving to the west of the property. We came across one of the trees, the very common trees in this area, the black monkey orange. This is one of the favorite tree for the locals, especially the Shangans. They got lots of products that they get from this particular tree. They've got medicine to use from this tree. If there's a baby in the family with a birthmark, they will dig up the roots of the tree, boil them, and give it to the baby 3 times a day, like they do with tablets. And also, they will use the very same root by putting them in fire, crushing them into powder, apply on the side of the bite, and it does work. I know they've done that with me. And with berries, they are greenish and they get yellowish when they're ready. So unfortunately, in this case, we don't have the berries. We do compete with monkeys. There's lots of different species that will go for the berries. I know baboons do, humans do. I've tested them before. They taste very nice. It's either you go for the berries while they're still very fresh from the tree, or you sun dry them, crush into powder, add some sugar as well, and enjoy. They taste very good. And over here, we have got a katydid that is using these as a home. Very, very well camouflaged. It's using the tree as a home, and you can't tell the difference between the leaves of the tree and the insect. So it's not just this insect, there's lots of insects, more especially the green ones, that will use this very well camouflaged tree as just to confuse their predators. So while still enjoying our katydid, we're gonna send you over to Steph.
Thanks, Herbie. Wonderful tree knowledge coming through there. I'm sure the viewers are absolutely loving it. Folks, we have found the most colourful and glamorous bird of the savannah. I'm sure you have all seen it before, but for those of you who have not, this is the national bird of Botswana. It is the lilac-breasted roller. Isn't that just the most beautiful bird you've seen? The colours are absolutely bizarre. It almost looks like someone has taken a black and white colour-in drawing and given it to a child, and given the child the option of colouring in whatever it would like to, and that is the result. Because there is just absolutely bizarre colors on this bird. Beautiful, beautiful colors. But what is amazing, I always find, is that none of those colors are in fact pigments. They're not pigments. That is carotenoids and melanin combined with a process known as Tyndall scattering, which is basically air bubbles within the feather that reflect and refract the light in different directions with the carotenoids, and that's what gives the bird these beautiful, beautiful colors. He's playing very nicely for us. It's the #1 photographed bird in the Kruger National Park because it is beautiful, and it is the middle of the breeding season, so he is looking a little bit scruffy because she defending the territory. Foxy, indeed, it is a foxy looking bird. Foxy, thank you for that. And so the lilac-breasted rollers with a number of other species, they are breeding this time of year, but these individuals, they like to breed in cavities in trees, and they've got a very interesting display that they use where they get their roller name from, which I can demonstrate for you in a moment. But they need the cavities created by woodpeckers. Geochoma, you've never heard of this bird before? Lilac-breasted roller, it is an absolute beauty. But when you come with beauty and looks, you don't come with the beautiful voice, and the roller has got a horrible voice, because you can't be blessed with both. You either are a singer or a looker in the bird kingdom. And this is definitely a looker. And a very, very ugly sound. Maybe I'll play it for you. If I just turn around for you there, show you on my lovely app. Okay. I believe, while I look for this call, Mr. Dyson is having lots of luck with the cats today. I believe he's found that beautiful leopardess with the bundle of joy.
We certainly have, and this is the little bundle of joy. It looks like it is, not too sure if it's playful or it's definitely been kind of on the move. And as we arrived onto the scene, Thandi also moved ever so slightly, 20 meters or so, into the shady spot where she's lying now, and it looks like the cub is heading back towards her. So will she try and pounce on Mum and have some playtime? Let's wait and see. She loves kind of sneaking up on Mum. And I can't believe how lucky we've been over the last few days. Literally sightings of this leopardess and her cub, I think, every single day for the last 4 days. And our luck continues. Now, as you can see, Mom doesn't look too happy. I'm not too sure why. There's another vehicle in the sighting, and that's who she's growling at. But I'm sure what will happen is that vehicle will probably just retreat a little bit, give her a little bit more space, and then that way she will feel less likely to want to growl and snarl. It's funny, you know, some days she's completely relaxed and doesn't hiss and snarl, and others she acts a little bit temperamental. So I guess just like us as humans, you know, some days we're in a good mood, some days less so, and it's the same for wild animals. They too are allowed to have mood swings. Now, I haven't seen this cub trying to hunt or stalk or pounce on anything other than its mother. And with the amount of time that we're spending it, I think we definitely are going to start getting lucky seeing it trying to catch small lizards, grasshoppers. When it gets a little bit older, tree squirrels are a favorite for young leopards to try and catch. Not an easy prey item, but certainly a good challenge to allow them to practice and hone their skills. Now, there was a small warthog kill in this area yesterday, and cubby got a little bit of a fright, not too sure from what. But there was a warthog kill in this area, and there's a chance that it's been finished, and Thandi is just full enough not to warrant going off on her next hunt. Kathy, well, you've mentioned that we're making it hard for you not to become very attached to this young little cub. Well, I think for anybody involved in Safari Live, it would be a very, very difficult thing not to become attached to something so cute. And I guess, yes, the fact that we have been lucky enough to spend so much time with it over the last few days especially, and also a few weeks, makes us all kind of in that same dangerous boat of attachment. Now, for any of you who may be watching for the first time, it's important to realize that this little cub is still very, very vulnerable, and there's still a fairly decent chance that it will not make it to adulthood, and that is one of the catches with becoming attached with these wild animals, especially the cubs. Very good. We are going to stay put and be sure to call you back if anything else exciting happens, but it sounds like up in Kenya, Brent's lions are on the move.
Well, here's one of the fat little boys who managed to get the majority of that warthog. And another lioness just came in, so he decided to go walk up to her and decided, you know what, I'm too fat, I'm too tired, I'm too lazy, I'm just going to plonk right next to the car here and have a little cough. Yes, you ate too much too quickly. So there are 9 males out of the cubs here. So one day they could form a super coalition if they do leave. But yeah, so 9 young males for these poor 4 females to keep feeding. There's that missing lioness. She's popped in on the other side. Now, oh, look at the greeting. Saying hello. Now, Lily is wondering what happens when lion prides meet. Are they friends? Oh, shame, she's got the tiniest little bit of warthog leg left. Lily, unfortunately not. Sometimes they could be friends if they come from the same natal pride, which means they might have once been the same pride, but they've split because there are too many of them, that there's too many mouths to feed. But normally, when lion prides meet, they will fight each other. They don't want other lions in their area. Craig? This little guy, it seems like he's listening to every single word I say. Well, until the car started, but he was looking straight at me. Yeah, you. Yes, you. No, he's been distracted by that, and he's back looking at us. He literally sounds like he's listening to every word. There's a car moving just behind that distracted him. But he is very much focused on me. So, there he is. Hey, mister. So he is one of the ones that has done quite well. Now, of course, as male lions get older, the hierarchy in coalitions is always something that's very interesting because it is quite fluid. It changes from time to time, depending on who's the most fat, who's the most sore, and who's the most aggressive. So often, not even the biggest lion can be the most dominant just by having the biggest attitude. And this little guy definitely has an attitude. So are you a future king of the Mara, mister? Possibly. He could also be a future king of the Serengeti if he is pushed far enough when he comes into adulthood and has to leave his natal pride. I always find it incredible how tolerant the animals are of flies. I mean, look at that. There's a fly almost in his eye. Oh, look at that. I would not be able to stand it. Now, fortunately, Scott has got something incredible. As I said, he's now decided he doesn't like me. So, as I said, little cubs, what would happen, lion and leopard to meet, the little leopard cub would go up into the tree, and that's what Scott's got.
Well, here, watch as VM zooms out. You'll see how high up the scraggly little combretum tree this little leopard cub has managed to scurry up. It may look a little bit exaggerated now because it is growing up from the kind of base of the riverbank there. But how cool is this? And such a good sign that it's happy to climb fairly high and capable of climbing fairly high already because of the fact that Mom is bringing kills back to her. It means that it is imperative that she can escape up into the safety of even small trees like this. Will be very, very difficult for hyena and lion to get to her. So, not only a beautiful scene, but also a very, very useful one, considering the fact that she does need to be cautious and capable of escaping, which this is a very good example of her being able to do just that. Hello, Mr. Q. You'd like to know how big is this cub in terms of weight? Well, I would guess 2 kilograms, maybe. Maybe a tiny bit more than that. 4 pounds, 5 pounds. I've never weighed a baby leopard cub, so I'm just trying to kind of compare it to a baby human, which are usually born at around 3 kgs. And I think this looks fairly similar size to a newborn baby human. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe I've chosen the wrong kind of animal to compare it to. Maybe a domestic cat. How much does your average domestic cat weigh, I wonder? 4 kilos? This wouldn't be of the size. It comes well done, VM. How quick did it get down that tree and start heading back to Mom? And it looks like she's doing her best to sneak up on Mom through the long grass. Watch how carefully she's placing her paws down, trying not to make a noise. You sneaky little thing. Now, sadly, when we repositioned to get into a good spot to see her up the tree, we kind of forwent the opportunity to see Mom. So, no, we still got a gap there, so that's okay. Let's not risk moving. And I just want to see... Actually, let's move quickly because I've got a feeling this little cub's going to pounce on Mom. There we go. So the cub's just behind Mom. Mom hasn't looked in a direction that I'm aware of yet, so be ready for that little cub to come charging. Oh, Mom's detected you. I wonder... Oh, it did a little half-hearted pounce there. But I guess the fact that it had been detected deterred it from pursuing a full attack. Oh, she's seen that tail twitching. Is she going to go for it? Sometimes she gets into very, very playful moods. The most playful I've ever seen her was yesterday morning. It was so, so cool. But I guess it requires Mom to be willing to play. Cute. Because sometimes Mom won't be in a playful mood. And how absolutely cute is this? Yes, Mary, this little cub is certainly a little ball of energy, and it looks like it's now spending some time grooming its mother, and it's already learnt the ways of the wild with regards to that. It seems like it may even be trying to pluck off little ticks, and I'd be very impressed that if it's already learnt that skill at such a young age. Hello, you little cutie. So Mom's still a little bit snarly this afternoon. I'm not too sure why. Maybe it's the hot weather. Now, will she tolerate the little cublet having a nurse, or is the cub not too interested in it? Didn't seem like it for now. Very good. Well, seeing as though the little cub has disappeared away from Mom for the time being, we're going to send you back up to the Masai Mara to watch the approaching storm with Ralph.
Thanks, Scott. And yes, it's very ominous, everybody. Have a look at this. This storm is very quickly approaching, and it looks like quite a big one, quite like last night. But it's already raining where we were a little bit earlier, and I think it's already now where those lions were. A lovely termite mound in the foreground there as Adrian pans across. I can hear some greater honey guides calling just behind me in that forested area. They do that Victor, Victor, Victor. And we might still get a little bit of a sunset. There's some colours there over the Olololo escarpment, but there's not too much as these clouds are really closing in now. The wind is picking up, and I think it's not very long and we're going to be getting wet. But a good thing for us, we'll probably be up at camp battening down the hatches once more and staying dry with a lovely, nice hot drink. It seems it's been doing this every afternoon, or more or less, since I've been here. Top Mod, you want to know if we have a problem with so much rain? Top Mod, not particularly, no. Just as far as I've been able to gather, it's supposed to be quite dry at this time of year, so a little bit of unseasonal rain, because normally very dry at this period, and in a couple of months' time, then the big rains really kick in. But it seems that the small rains have just continued, and so we might just go from small rains into big rains without that sort of dry patch in between. But that's the wonders of the world and climate and weather. It's not as stable as we would like it to be, but that's nothing we can do about that. So we just marvel at the wonders of the rain approaching over the plains with the balanites tree, making for a wonderful scene. But you just think for the animals now, the elephants probably don't mind at all, but animals like those lions, shame. So everyone, that's it for us here in the Mara. We'll see you all again tomorrow, but in the meantime, let's send you on back down to South Africa, and Steve, I'm sure, has got something wonderful to show you.
Thank you, Ralph, and all of those in the Mara. Hopefully there's not any rain pulling in to be chasing you home. Be safe out there. Yes, indeed, folks, we have found ourselves a beautiful... I wonder if you've seen one of these before. Those birders out there, this might be a new one for your list. It's only the third one I've seen in the Sabi sands, and haven't managed to get one on camera yet. Very, very beautiful bird. When it lands up on the branch, has this very particular habit of flicking one wing. I wonder if any of your viewers can tell me what you might think it might be. Beautiful black and white striped chest. If you turned around, you'd be able to see that. Nice long beak of an insect eater. Also do a little bit of pollen. I wonder if anybody out there knows what this is. Or are all the birders sleeping this afternoon, I wonder. Very, very quiet. It looks like I'm going to be telling you very quickly. This, ladies and gentlemen, and if you got it right, well done, is a ground scraper thrush. Bravo to those of you who guessed it correct. And it is playing the card really nicely. I wish he would just turn around, or she, and show us the beautiful chest. But if not, I have my famous bird app with me. We'll be able to show you what it looks like. It's in the shade of that tree, just enjoying a little bit of the coolness. They are quite territorial. They'll also be breeding this time of year. They're a monogamous pair, but we only have the one now. And it is a beautiful bird. Very, very beautiful. I'll play the call for you on my phone. There we go, he turned around. Look at that chest. Isn't that beautiful? It's very characteristic of your thrush species. And now I've called him out. He's calling back. Remember, folks, for ethics, we don't use bird calls repeatedly out here. You might use one just to locate the presence of a shy, skulky bird, and then as soon as it calls back, leave it. Don't sit there calling the bird, because you will end up destroying or damaging its breeding success. So we're going to leave this ground scraper thrush in the tree, and while we do so, Mr. Dyson, I believe, is still with the beautiful bundle of joy.
Yes, we certainly are still with the bundle of joy, and it's in a bit of what's turning into what seems to be a little bit of a playful mood that it's getting itself into. It's been sneaking up to Mom, but it's just stopped, so we'll leave it for the time being. It was kind of playing with her for a bit, and then it went off, and I'm thinking it's planning its next stalking attack towards her. Happy that you got to see a ground scraper thrush with Steve. It's not a bird that we see too often, and I really do like them. It's one of my favorite birds, the ground scraper thrush. Not too sure what it is about them, but I do quite like them. Where is the little cub? So still hidden in the thickets. We will be able to reposition ever so slightly. We just came here to try and get the best possible shot. Where we were earlier, there was a branch in the foreground that was getting blitzed by the afternoon sun. It was blowing out completely on VM's shots, and because these moments are so magical, we are trying to get the best possible pictures possible to not only show you guys but also to record for the future records. Now, I've got a feeling that Thandi might take us hunting later this evening, but for now she is certainly looking very, very relaxed. We need to rush you off to Herbie, who's got himself into a bit of a predicament with the buffalo thorn. I hope he's okay.
Welcome back. We are here with this beautiful tree, a buffalo thorn tree. Why a buffalo thorn? When buffaloes get attacked by lions, they'll run towards this tree, put their backs, and face the predators with their massive horns, and that's how this tree got its name, buffalo thorn. I've got another interesting story to tell about this tree. For the students, especially the matriculants, when they're about to complete their matric, the parents will buy a bag, cut a branch of the buffalo thorn, put the branch inside the bag, and when they do a farewell party, they will give the bag to the student as a present with a very, very strong message. I'll say it in Shangaan. Ngwananga, famba uyalava ntirho, kambe mi nga rivali ku vuya kaya. And the message is, go out, experience life, but never forget to come back. And another word for the buffalo thorn, the name came from the thorns itself because it does look like buffalo thorn. One in a normal buffalo shaped horn and the other one in a deformed shape. So in this case, this is where the name buffalo thorn comes from. Nay, can I eat a buffalo thorn? Of course, yes. I've done that many, many times. This is a favorite food for the locals. They'll take the leaves, boil, add some salt, and enjoy. Very, very nice and nutritious. The spinach. We will continue heading south. As we continue, let's cross over to Scott, who has got something for us.
Well, happy that Herbie found himself a buffalo thorn salad mid-walk, and further gladdened by the fact that he found it delicious. Now, we haven't moved an inch yet, so I'm not actually too sure where the cub is. I'm torn as to whether to reposition or just to give it a few more minutes to see if the cub doesn't come back to mum. It tends to be kind of the cub's tactics this afternoon. Go off, play around, climb a tree, come back, check in on mum, go off again. So I'm hoping that she could be currently stalking mum as we speak, but it's quite thick around us, so we've only got a very small window of opportunity. Maybe we should actually just reverse a little bit and see if we can get a view of the cub. All right. Francis in Israel, you are wondering whether I think I would have spent more time with this cub due to the fact that there's only one of them. No, I don't think that is the case. I think that she would spend the same amount of time with cubs regardless of how many of them there are. Although, I mean, the only thing that would kind of cause her not to is the fact that she will obviously have less cubs to look after, so it's less milk that you need to expend to all, possibly 3 individuals, which does mean she would need to spend less time away hunting. So I guess, I mean, possibly through default, yes, she's spent more time with this cub because she's had to spend less time looking for meals for more hungry mouths. So I guess that would be my theory on the situation. I don't think that, leopardess or lions will care more for a single cub as opposed to having 2 or 3 because they're all so vulnerable. First Lady, you would like to know, when do leopard cubs start developing their senses? Well, I guess as soon as they're born. They're born blind and helpless and are just kind of little furry worms for the first few days of their life. And then slowly their eyes will open and then they'll develop the sense of sight. And, their smell will start kicking in, possibly from even younger than that. Maybe they'll be able to smell the mother's mammary glands, or maybe it's just instinct that they can head towards them for suckling, because that they'll do from the get-go. But each and every day that this cub is here on the planet, it is learning and developing its senses and skills. There's no 2 ways about that, and each day will provide it different lessons and different opportunities to hone different senses and skills. So it is already fully underway with the learning process. It would have already probably learned quite a lot, simply due to the fact that it's still alive is testament to that fact. If it wasn't quick with the updates, it wouldn't be able to survive the dangers out here. Well, this is one of my favorite parts of being on Safari Live. We have a new viewer, and her name is Icy Angel. Very nice name. It's wonderful to have you with us. And yes, we are certainly in Africa. You were wondering whereabout we were. And we are currently on the southern tip of the continent in South Africa, but on the kind of northeastern boundary of our country, quite close to Mozambique and Zimbabwe in the greater Kruger National Park. And had you have tuned in about half an hour ago, you would have also got to meet some of our crew members who are up in Kenya in the Masai Mara. So we're currently filming out of 2 locations, and who knows where we will end up next. Icy Angel, wonderful to have you with us. Now, you've come at a very good time, because to be viewing a leopardess with her tiny little furball cub on your first safari is an absolutely epic start. We are very, very fortunate to be in this situation. It's not all the time that leopards have cubs, because of the fact that once they've had one, they'll spend anywhere from 12 to 18 months raising it before they can give birth to the next cubs. And I'm not sure if you've logged in right now, if you even got a glimpse of the cub yet. I'm not too sure where it's hiding out. But we haven't seen it for the last few minutes. I'm sure it won't be away from one side for too long. Well, very good. Well, I'm sure a lot of you guys are enjoying having Steve around and also noticing that he loves spending time out of the vehicle even when he's not on the bushwalk. I wonder what he's found now.
And you're back with myself and Seb on camera. I'm Steve, and we've come across a very nice log, and I'd like to continue my theme from this morning of the wonderful Marula. So first of all, I have gone and taken one of the Marulas and I've purposefully kept it in my room, and it has gone nice and yellow. So this is the Marula fruit, which is very, very high in vitamin C. You probably saw the one I had this morning if you were on show. And that was very, very sour and bitter. But what you do is you just cut off this little top of the Marula. Oh, this one has gone a bit funny inside. Maybe it wasn't best in my room, but I'm going to eat it anyway. There's a lovely... What you can do is that the fruit itself is used as an insecticide. No, that's not very good, this one. Often what you can do is you can cut it just like I did, and you just pop it in your mouth like a lychee. But I don't think this guy, there you can see that juice there. It's actually quite tasty. Very, very tasty. but the kernel inside is very, very large, and that it's there. I was given this by a friend in a form of friendship, and you can see all 3 of the seeds are there. So I'm going to put down my 1 Marula fruit and the skin, put away my very sharp knife, and I've also brought on the show today a hand axe that I carry around. This is a Stone Age tool that has been designed and made by someone very, very long time ago for purposes of breaking and cutting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break open this nut to get out, or this kernel to get the nuts out from inside. Need a nice anvil, and Stone Age sites across the world abound with bits and pieces like this, and then fragments of shells, of mussels, of bones, of seeds. Everything that hasn't decomposed is found around, and you'll often find an anvil in the form of a log or a rock where some Stone Age person has eaten or done some stuff for some time. So don't hurt yourself. It's very, very hard, hence we need the anvil. There we go. I've broken it open, and you can see the white fleshy stuff inside. That very, very good. You can use that, you can create an oil, you can put it in water, or you can boil it, and then you scoop the oil from the top, and then it works quite well as an insecticide, and also, as I mentioned before, on the lips. It's quite tasty. There you can see it there, just like a macadamia nut, so to speak. You can eat it straight out of there. You can tell I haven't had my lunch today. Can you see it in there, folks? This is what the squirrels are going for. And can you believe each of these little nuts has the potential to become a massive, massive tree? Fantastic. So I'm going to put that back there. There's at least 3 bits of nut here, and the kernel itself is just discarded. And we find that sometimes in elephant droppings, where the elephants have actually broken that with their teeth. I've only seen it once or twice in my life where they've physically broken the kernel open. And you saw how hard I had to hit that with this very hard rock to do so. What some people will also do is you can break this down, the skin, and you can put it into powder form, and you put it up the nose as a form of a tobacco sort of product. And the way that you could do it is if you pop that seed out nicely, you can actually keep that perfect little pouch for your tobacco as well, if you're a smoker. Wonderful stuff. We're going to leave our discarded shells here on the floor. I'm going to put my tools back where I found them. And we're going to go back to my friend who is also on foot, Mr. Herbie.
Welcome back. We are to the west, northwest of the property, very close to the camp. We've got a crime scene. We've got a millipede in piece and some evidence here. Something came to destroy the millipede. This is just a half, I'll say a quarter of the millipede. And over here is the inside part of the millipede. Here there's a disturbance of the soil, and I've got some tracks here. I can tell from the tracks that this is a spotted thickney. One of the nocturnal thickney was feeding on the millipede. So most of the animals, including insects, they avoid eating centipedes because they've got a very strong acid as a defense mechanism, but not with spotted thickneys. Nikki, I can't hear what the question is. Okay, there's lots of animals, but the most common one that destroys millipede will be the African civet. African civet is the favorite food for the millipedes. Is the favorite food for millipedes. In the civetry, where the civets will always visit as a toilet, you'll find lots of millipede pieces as evidence that the civet will always go for the centipedes. Millipedes. While doing that, we will send you to Scott.
Alrighty then, millipedes, not the tastiest of morsels out here. Interestingly, I'm not sure exactly what animals Herb did touch on, but one animal that fascinated me was the tortoise. Our resident camp lady tortoise called Gregory. Yes, a lady called Gregory, because we didn't know she was a lady initially when we gave her the name. Well, I wasn't around, but that's the story. She likes to eat millipedes, and I never knew that until we were told about it. So, interesting stuff. And what a joy being able to be out on foot and ping-pong from that to a leopard sighting like this, and who knows what Steve will come up with next, but really, really spoilt with all the action out here. I often think about the guests here who are stuck with their one guide for the whole safari, not being able to ping-pong and teleport from vehicle to bushwalk, from Sabi sands to Kenya. So we really are all fortunate to be involved in this intimate safari experience. Dale, you would like to know what is the biggest prey item a leopard could take down? Well, the biggest animal that I've ever seen a leopard kill was a male leopard taking down a fully grown kudu bull. And a fully grown kudu bull is way in excess of 200 kilograms, so probably double the size of the male leopard. So a huge, huge animal. And occasionally they catch baby giraffe. That's another interesting one, and large animal that they'll take down. A female leopard, biggest prey I've seen a leopardess take down. Sure, I can't think of anything probably other than an Inyala bull. But this female leopard, for example, walked straight past an Inyala bull the other day and hardly even looked at it. It wasn't even an option for her to stalk it and hunt it. And interestingly, the Inyala bull followed her, just kind of walking after her. Once it realized that it wasn't interested in her, just kind of like walked after her, going, oh my gosh, this is a leopard. And furthermore, what further kind of surprised me was the fact that the Inyala bull did not let off one alarm call. So had his friends and his girlfriends known that there was a leopard about and he wasn't doing his bit for the neighborhood watch, I'm sure he wouldn't be a very popular Nyala. But a lot will depend on the area the leopards live in. Some areas in India, the leopards will kind of focus on hunting bush pigs, which is quite interesting and quite dangerous. Not that they take down the big bush pigs, but there are large adult bush pigs that go tearing after the leopard once it's managed to sneak in and snipe one of the weaners. Oh, interesting. Now, I'm told there's a lot of you that are interested in Gregory, the queen tortoise of Djuma. And you'd like to know what kind of a tortoise she is. She is a Speaks hinged-back tortoise. We get two kind of main types of tortoise here in the Sabi Sands, the leopard tortoise and the Speaks hinged-back. The Speaks is considerably smaller than the leopard tortoise when it's fully grown. And we will be sure to try and get some footage of Gregory so that you guys can get to see what she's up to. Interestingly, Gregory brought one of her boyfriends into camp the other day, but he wasn't quite as relaxed as she is with all of the humans roaming about. She's completely okay walking in and around our camp because she's been spending quite a lot of time there over the last, I think, over a year. She frequents the camp almost daily. And Alana, you were hoping that you would be able to meet Gregory one day. Maybe we'll have to do a live segment on Gregory when she comes to visit in camp so we can put her on the map. We're hoping that one day she's going to bring a trail of her tiny little babies into camp for a tour. That would be absolutely awesome. Now, where is the little cub? I'm very surprised that we haven't seen it for so long. And I guess the fact that it has been with Mom, or Mom has been with it for so long now, since yesterday eve, or kind of mid-afternoon yesterday, Mother may have arrived with a small warthog piglet that they both got to snack on. It seems like it is finished. There was no sign of it in the tree. But because she has been here for about 24 hours, the cub's probably been playing so much that it needs to now catch up on some sleep as well. It won't be used to having mom around for such extended periods of time, because more often than not, until recently, until the cub started feeding on kills, mom would be away searching for food or away feeding on the food. Not with the cub. Okay, well, it sounds like Steve is on a mission. He's off-roading. Nobody quite knows what he's hoping to find, so why don't you go and find out?
Thanks, Scotty. We're only off-roading because there is the biggest tree you've ever seen in your life in the road. So that was why we were slightly off-roading. Ooh, there's a young buffalo. Who's that? It is a young buffalo weaver. He looked very strange. But folks, what I do have is another little story for you for the Marula, which is a tree that I absolutely love. So I'm going to jump off real quickly. And we have another example right here. And in my hands, I've got a branch that an elephant has broken off. So this is something I can do damage to. I'm not going to damage this beautiful thing. But you can see where the elephant is damaged here. Got the bark, and the bark is very important for all sorts of stomach ailments. It is an antihistamine. It also can help in the form of decoctions or infusions have been known to treat ailments such as malaria as well as fevers and headaches. So decoction, you boil and then you take that fluid itself, not the fluid but the actual plant parts, and you'll eat that, or an infusion would be like a tea where you drink the juices. So I've got the example of the branch here, and I'm going to just cut a little bit in there with my trusty knife. And I've been walking in the bush before, and I've been stung by nettles, I've been stung by all sorts of funny things, and you just dig into the bark. You can see why I didn't want to do this to this tree here, because I'm going to damage it. But this bark here, this red stuff that you can see there, if you get stung or you get some sort of sting or anything like that, you'll just rub that on the wound. Immediately it just disappears, which is awesome. I've done it before for students that were crying because they got nettles on the feet and the legs and they started getting a bit teary, and immediately pain was relieved, which is quite nice to know. But the Marula tree, folks, this is a tree that is revered by the locals. It is a fruiting tree, and all of us in the West, we know what we talk about when you talk about the calendar, the 9 or the 12-month calendar. But the Shangans, stories of people I worked with up in the north of the Kruger, the Shangans base their calendar on very big events. Now, if you think about what big events do we find out here in the savanna biome, number one, the impala lambing is in November. That is their month of November. They never called it November, they called it Impala month. And then in December would be Wildebeest lambing month. But when the flowers of the Marula come out, it is October. Okay, September, October. September the flowers, October the fruits start to form. And then guess what happens in the new year in January? What's happening right now? You saw that fruit that I had. That is when the Marulas ripen. That is when the fruit is fresh. And so Marula forms 3 of their months, or their sort of features 3. And it is such a beer out of it. Those of you who've had Amarula cream, it is derived from this plant, and it's also known as the wedding tree. And I know people that get married under a Marula tree normally got a wonderful amount of shade, and when you come out here, this isn't the best example, it's been torn down a bit by Ellie's, but they provide huge amounts of shade out here. And so the wedding tree, the medicinal properties, everything of this tree is magical. Scarlett asks if we find Marula trees all over the country. That's no, we find it only in the low veldt, in the savanna biome. Nowhere else, unless they've been grown or propagated, and I don't know too much whether they have been, but the fruits and the conditions and the climate is pretty much savanna dominated. Okay. Oh, well, folks, we're going to finish up with our Marula discussion a bit later, because I believe Thandi is with Scott and he'll be eating some bacon.
Well, she interestingly isn't eating the bacon just yet. She's just picked up the hind leg of the warthog, the only remains, I'm guessing, of it, and she is kind of what it sounds like as she opens her mouth. And interestingly, the cub must be in a bit of a coma, because she's not responding. She's just leaving Mom hanging. Mom's went and got a little snack. She wants to share it with the cub, but she's not coming. Oh, I just heard a response. A high-pitched meow, meow. So I'm guessing the cub is kind of waking up and thinking about coming back to Mom. I wonder where it's hiding. Probably somewhere up in those thick green bushes that we're kind of looking at now. That is where we kind of last saw the cub come from. Now, the calls that she's making are quite soft. Even though Bex in the final control room has tried to pump up the ambient audio, sadly we're still not picking up those soft wow, wow that Mom's letting out. I'm sure it won't be too long until the cub starts coming down to check in why Mom's calling. Juliet, you wondering if an orphaned leopard cub would ever be adopted by another one? Highly, highly unlikely. Leopards compete ferociously with other leopards. Strange things do happen in nature from time to time, and you probably find that somewhere, at some point in time. Oh, here comes the cub. Well done, VM. This is going to be epic. She's been away from Mom for quite some time, probably snoozing, so I'm hoping she is now full of energy. And I can't wait to see her also nibbling on the little leg of the warthog that's lying in the grass next to Mom. I've never seen this little cub chew on anything, so it will be a first for me. I think our only confirmed sighting... Oh, Mom's going to pick up the leg of the warthog now. And is she just going to hand it over to the little cublet to snack on? Time will tell. Looks like the cub's thinking it's a game because it's gone back into stalk mode. If it's still alive, it looks like it's getting ready for a pounce, and you'll possibly find that it can actually smell the meat because the wind is blowing from us towards the leopard. So I'm guessing this little leopard cub knows that there's something there. Maybe not. Maybe she thought Mom was trying to play. Mom has now picked up that leg, and looks like she might start nibbling on it. But I'm fairly certain her intentions are to try and give the cub some of it, because as soon as she picked it up from where it was hidden in some undergrowth, she had used her paw to cover it with some leaves and grasses. As soon as she got out there, she immediately started calling the cub. Although now, once the cub approached, she seemed like she may have growled at it, so... I wonder what exactly is going on here. The tail almost perfectly framed the little cub's head there. Get ready for some screenshots, because that would make for a wonderful shot if she does, in fact, frame the little cublet with her tail. Seems like the cub now is thinking, well, why'd you call me if you're not going to be any fun, you're not playing, you're not wanting to share your kill? What's going on here, Mom? Maybe she just wants to shum, but for now we will send you back to Herbie, who has perched himself on something.
Scarlett, I'm back to you with your question. What is my favorite tree? Unfortunately, I don't see my favorite tree here, which is a torchwood, belanatis, or a greenthorn. But I've got something else. A knobthorn. Not just me sitting on top of this dead knobthorn. I've got evidence here. Baboons droppings. I know it's baboons because I can see some grass seed and also some berries on it. It tells me that this is from a baboon. And of course, this is a knob thorn because of the knobs on it. And the locals will use the knobs for the ladies to enlarge their breast. How? They take pieces, bend them, crush into powder, make cuts on top of the breast, and apply the powder. And they believe by so doing, they will benefit from the medicine that they get from the knob thorn. And over here, just above us, this is a big tree, the knob thorn, which has been disturbed by elephants by taking off the bark from the knob thorn. This is not quite fresh. It looks old. There's also some disturbance from the termites here. So elephants taking off the bark from the trees is not just for them to get food. They also helping other animals to get food, like termites. I know there's wood borers that will attack some of these trees after being disturbed by elephants. And of course, we all blame elephants of being destructive. Yes, they are destructive, but at the very same time, they are helping different species to get shelter by creating William, will the tree fall down if it is eaten by termites? Termites will only destroy dead trees, whether standing or lying down, but when they attack it from the bottom, yes, it can fall down. So while we still enjoying our knob thorn, I'm gonna send you back to Steve in a tree.
And we are on a log. I'm not sure, I believe Herbie might also be on a log. Could not resist. This is a magnificent but dead Marula. Now folks, this tree would have fallen over potentially by damage done to the bark, like the one we saw there. Insects would have gotten in all over this stump. It's riddled with little holes of wood-boring beetles. Woodpeckers have been pecking at them to get them out. There's cavities. This is a habitat tree. It has fallen down and it is going to be turning back into the soil over the next few years. But while it does so, the ecology, the animals, the insects, the environment that it's creating is unbelievable, and it will turn back into soil and nutrients, but also provide the home for many insects, many arthropods, many spiders and scorpions and little bugs and whatever else you might think of. But one of the reasons I stopped, not just to have an amazing seat on this tree, but one of my favorite things about the Marula stem itself is I'm going to take this home with me. And this is quite a soft wood. This is for the Marula. And I made a fire drill the other day from the red spike thorn, which I'll use as the drill, the top bit. And Marula wood like this is good for the base plate. So you put this at the bottom and the drill at the top, and you, through friction, create fire. So watch this space. In the next few days or week or two, we're going to try and attempt to do Fire Few live on Safari Live. But one of my most favorite things about this tree, I don't know if there's any musicians out there, I have a djembe drum. It's kind of like a big round African style drum. And this wood, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the best woods in South Africa for making a djembe. I'm not sure if it's going to resonate very nicely now because it's dead inside. It hasn't been hollowed. There we go, the sound of Africa, folks. We could make a drum out of this if we wanted to, but unfortunately, to harvest the wood, you'd need to cut it when it was still green and then dry it so it doesn't crack. You can see this is covered in cracks, but a very good traditional drum for the African bush. We're going to climb down from my perch on my high horse, and we're going to continue, hopefully, and we are in the southern part of the reserve right now. There is the southern boundary, and we're hoping to maybe find Shadow or at not Barbara, who knows.
But you can link to Scott, who's got a tiny little cap.
And while we are thinking about looking and finding, we're going to go to Scott, who does indeed have a leopard. Oh, I lost my...
We certainly do. Interestingly, Thandi's just got up on the move, and the cub came bounding after her, so I'm sure we are going to get some more good views over there. But it didn't look like she finished the kill, and the cub went straight past it, which was interesting. Maybe she's looking for another little bit that she may have hidden somewhere. Sorry about the antenna there, not in the best spot, but it is what it is, and because she is very close to us, I'm not going to risk moving the vehicle. Let's take a look at the cub VM. It's on its way down, on the same path that Mom kind of used. There it comes. And it may have a little bit more trouble negotiating the steep bank. Mom made it look easy. Let's see how this little cublet manages. Without too much trouble. Now, I wonder what's going on here. You can see even the cub sniffing around there. Something's got its attention, and I'm guessing that something, or at least a portion of the warthog, may have been stashed somewhere here. Another good example of how this cub's senses are really in full swing. You can see it was definitely sniffing quite intently there, and now it's coming bounding after Mom, who seems to still be searching for something. I'm not too sure what it is. Hello Paula, you would like to know if cubs will lose their milk teeth just like human children do, and yes, they certainly will. They don't just have one set of teeth in their life, they do have two, as far as I'm aware. I actually might be wrong, but I'm confident that is the case. I need to be careful though, because the other day I was confident that Wahlberg's eagles were here for the entire year, and it turns out they're migratory. Thanks to James Richards, he corrected me there. Got a little bit confused, so happy for anyone to double check that, but I'm fairly certain they do in fact have two sets of teeth. Let's just stop here. I want to move the vehicle as little bit as possible when we are close to them and when they are on the move. Oh, well, Thandi was looking up into the skies there, and it wasn't quite kind of the skies she was looking into, it was more that milkberry tree, and it was that same very tree that she climbed up yesterday and hoisted the warthog kill up there. So maybe there's a little piece of the carcass that remains there, hard to be certain. What are you looking for, Thandi? What's going on? Now, I might be wrong. She may have actually just completely wolfed down that warthog leg that we saw her carrying a little bit earlier, and that's why she would have left it, and I'll be looking for any more snacks or morsels that may remain. What's going on, Thandi? Have you forgotten where you've hidden your food? Earlier on, she went and sniffed in one spot first and then went to the second spot where she in fact found the warthog. So that to me is quite interesting, that she didn't remember to go back to the exactly correct spot. She knew it was in one of two spots. Now, we might get lucky. She may go up the tree, and we're going to have a beautiful, beautiful scene if she does, because the light is perfect. It looks like she is going to go up. And the cub was also climbing up there. Go up and let the cub follow you. That would be groundbreaking stuff for us. She's thinking about it. Come on, Thandi. Please. Come on, little cub. Show Thandi how to climb the tree. If Mom doesn't want to, we'll be more than happy for you to go up. Look at you, you little rebel. Ha! I'll show you the way, Mom. Watch this. Can you actually believe it? How cool? It's almost made it up to the main kind of fork in the tree. If it gets to there, it'll be far easier for it to carry on climbing up. It's less steep than this initial kind of portion of the trunk that it's starting to ascend. Maybe if the cub gets out Mom's way, Mom will go all the way up. No. Some Franklin's calling very close to us, so that will be the chick that you can hear. It's a crested Franklin. There's a chance it has seen Thandi. Okay, I think we can reposition now because actually, let's have a quick reposition. I think we'll be okay. I don't think we'll be too close to Thandi. If we are, and she lets us know that she doesn't want us so close, we will just simply move back a bit. Oh, we're going to get some great low-angle shots here, albeit briefly. It makes such a difference shooting up onto your subjects, and it certainly helps when there's beautiful dappled afternoon light being cast on their magnificent coats. Ah, Thandi. Just a little mini snarl there. Now, it is cooling off quite a bit, and because of that, I've got a feeling this cub is going to start getting playful, but it looks like I'm completely wrong, and it's going to get comfortable and have a quick suckle instead. I think I can possibly roll back a tiny bit. No. Oh, my earpiece fell out. Whoops. Thanks, VM. Okay, we're going to send you across to Steve, and hope you have a good time with him.
Well, thank you, Scotty. There we go. We have the woodland kingfisher. I hope James heard me say that without the S at the end. I know he doesn't like it when we say it with the S. What a beautiful bird. Migratory bird is down here for breeding. I'm sure you folks have seen many of these. But they come from south of the Sahara Desert to come and feed on our glorious insects that we get in the summer months. And just 2 weeks ago I had an amazing video of one of these individuals killing a scorpion. It looked like a shiny burrowing scorpion, and it must have beaten it on the branch for quite a while before giving it to his wife, who then beat it some more to pulverize the inside and break the carapace before swallowing it whole, which was quite something to see. And I was looking at all my books and my bird apps to see, and there's no record of it eating scorpions. So it would be quite nice to submit that forward and let those in who make the decisions on the bird books to know that these are actually quite efficient scorpion hunters. But you see how it's sitting there? They have got very good eyesight, these kingfishers, and they sit there and doing something called plunge hawking. So it basically will sit on the branch and see any insect moving around on the grass, and it will just fly down and just land on top of it, pick it up in its beak, and then pretty much fly back to the same perch that it has. And if need be, we'll pulverize it against the branch before swallowing. If it has chicks, which it probably will do at the moment still, it will fly back to the nest, giving the chicks those very nice, tasty insects. No questions or comments coming through. I think everybody has seen 1,000 woodland kingfishers. And Seb has been very happy. He's been recording it. And it's a lovely bird. Mayville, it is a very beautiful bird, and we're going to leave him to his hawking, and we are going to carry on along this road and see what we can find. It is that perfect time of day for a leopard to just pop out and just say hello. But while we continue our search, we're going to go across to my main man, Mr. Herbie, who I believe has got something very camouflaged on a branch.
I am here standing at the base of the jacket plum tree with a longhorn beetle. Quite difficult to see. It's using the tree to avoid predators. So very well camouflaged. You can't tell the difference between the branch and the insect itself. So they will target something like this to avoid predators. So a jacket plum is one of the trees which locals use to make beer. They will go for the berries while they're still greenish in color, to make red wine, and they'll wait for the berries to explode and expose the red part of the seed to make the red wine. The trickiest part is they'll collect many berries together in a container, add some water, some sugar, bury them for at least a day or two, let them ferment, and they will enjoy the wine. I've never tasted it before, but I know naughty boys used to walk or run on the drainage lines to expose and drink, and they'll get a punishment when they get back home. Not a good thing to do. Tom, thanks for joining me. Do I learn this from the guiding school or from my parents? Yes, Tom, I've obtained experience from both sides, from my parents and also from the guiding school. And of course from lots of the guides here at Safari Life, like James, who has joined me for the walk for the afternoon. Azi, are there any non-indigenous plants at Djuma? No, I haven't seen one yet. And yeah, but I'll check with the other guys. Maybe they know one. I'll double check with James maybe. I will double check with Steve as well. I know he's out on drive with Thandi.
Oh, thank you for that. Any non-indigenous plants on Djuma? I was asked that question a couple of days on my walk, and I haven't found one yet. I'm pretty sure there would be, but maybe in another week I might have more information about non-indigenous plants on Djuma. Very good question. I know that a lot of the non-indigenous plants that you will find in the reserves come from perennial rivers, and those are rivers that are flowing throughout the year, that come from our west. They come through areas, they come, oh, look at those lovely European bee eaters. And just see if we can get shots of them. They're flying just in front of the car. I wonder if you can hear them. There they go. Very nice characteristic whistle. Sounds like a referee. You can't hear them. It's like the whistle of a referee. If you've ever watched a soccer match, that's what they sound like. But back onto the indigenous or exotic trees or plants, definitely on your major river courses that you have coming into the Kruger from the west, there are a number of we call alien or invasive plants that have come in from your agricultural areas. But in Djuma, where it's a permanent water streaming through, it's very difficult, in my opinion, to find any, or if there are any, they don't really do very well. They've got to get in here through a flood stream, and the Milwati is not a permanent stream, to my knowledge. But on the Sand River, the Sabi River, the Crocodile, Olifants, they all have a number of exotic plants. Dale, you have asking a question if we have a wildflower season here. Yes, this is the wildflower season as soon as the rains come, so it can be as early as October and all the way through to March, April, depending on the rain. Okay, so we do get lots of wildflowers this time of year, but there's not that many out. There hasn't been enough rain. But while we continue with our search, we're going to go to Scott, who I believe is getting visual of the beautiful leopardess.
We do, kind of, as you can see at the moment, we're moving. We just want to try and get you guys into the best spot possible as she makes her way down this riverbed towards us. We kind of managed to loop ahead of her, and If we just sneak forward a few more meters, I'm sure we're going to get you some great views. Here we go. This is going to be good enough. I don't want to get too close to her. And there's just one big green bush in her way. But once she pops onto the other side of it, there's a bit of a clearing as she needs to cross a road. So, unindigenous plants on Djuma, there definitely are a couple. Blackjacks are the only ones that I can think of that the name I know, but there is also a red flower. It's slipped my mind that we sometimes see in the quarantine clearings. There haven't been any this year due to the fact that, here they go, there's been hardly any rain. And the little cublet is trotting along after Mom. Cute. Not a worry in the world. You really get a good idea of how big their paws are. Quite big paws for such small little beasts. Let's see, I think we are going to be able to sneak through another little spot here to get some more great views of them. Gonna have to loop ahead a little bit in order for this operation to work, which I think it will, and we may be lucky and get some glorious afternoon golden sunlight on them. But while we get into a decent spot, we're going to send you across to Herbie with a mantid.
It's all about camouflage. It's quite difficult for me to spot things, but because of my eagle eyes, I do. I spotted a flower mantid here, which uses one of the monkey pods, which is very, very well camouflaged. Quite difficult to tell from a distance unless you know what you're looking for. So in this case, I expected to see them in this wharf area, very close to us, but unfortunately, for a change, they've jumped to the neighboring bush here, the monkey pod. It seems it's looking at me. He knows I'm here, checking around for safety. You know, we don't belong here. Moving its head from side to side. Thanks very much. I know I've got eagle eyes. That's why I see anything to the size of the sand grain. While we're still enjoying our flower mantid, let's cross back to Steph.
You just missed some circus elephants, folks. That individual elephant was on the back of the one in front. I might try it again. We were just coming along now, and there we just spotted a grey behemoth in the distance, and we have what looks like a breeding herd of plus minus 10 or 12 individuals. They're quite scattered through this little clearing here, but these two youngsters are having a little bit of fun, a little bit of I'm not sure if it was attempted mating that was going on there, because the elephants do have to mount to mate. These two are having a little love affair. Look at that. Sorry about the car, I should have done that before. We have some more coming in from the side, but let's just keep with these two youngsters. Having lots of fun. Most of the others are eating, and these two are having a little bit of a game. That's why I enjoy elephants. They're always doing something. Can you get back on his eye there, Seb? This individual's got a little bit of... Oh, okay, he's being shy. A little bit of mucus on the eye there. And I wonder if he's maybe had a bit too much dust. I wonder if he knows that if he boils the root of the Marula, he can steam that and help anything sore eyes. Wonderful to keep the Marula story going. Isn't that just a beautiful eye? They are such intelligent beings. We are not far from them here, maybe 15 yards, 15 or so meters. And he's feeding, using that very, very prehensile trunk for feeding, for grabbing grass, leaves, fruits. And those two are still having a bit of a game. We might see another attempted mount happen. It's far bigger. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Watch. Yes, he's got his penis is out, and I don't know if the other one is a female. He's definitely interested, but he's not of the right mating sort of age. But this is happening right live here, folks. This wasn't premeditated. But it is not often you see elephants mounting each other. And I think I've only ever seen it once in my life, and it was a very big bull trying to mount a very small female. But these are the sort of antics. If that young male continues, he will be pushed away, because when they reach this sort of age, 16 or so, the males start becoming very, very sexually sort of interested. And unfortunately, if you understand the dynamics of a breeding herd of elephants, they are made up of family, and it's not advisable for a young male to be breeding with his sisters or his cousins. So elephants are aware of this, and he will be pushed away to go and start the life of a bachelor, where he will follow other young bulls and even larger bulls and learn the ropes of how the dynamics in this system work. Very important for them to understand that. We've got one just in front of us here. Beautiful female. Have a look at that light here, Seb. This is awesome. Sorry to change there, folks. Got a few more coming in from behind her. Looks like a female. There she comes, just brushing through the branches. It's amazing how quiet they are. Here comes her little youngster. All full of beans. I love elephants. I absolutely love them. And so as we watch these elephants fade into the fading light, we're going to go across to Mr. Dyson, who I believe is going to have one last look at the leopardess and her bundle of joy.
Thanks, Steve. We certainly do. And there goes the little bundle of joy, having a jolly good time on this little exploratory mission. Now, it must be said that this leopard is heading towards where we saw the Nkuhuma Lioness a little bit earlier. Oh, it looks like we're in luck. Look at this. Oh no. Pole's in the way. Oh, what a pity. And as you can see, she's just jumped down. Tongi, just 7 years old. You would like to know if there's any other small cats that we see in the park. And yes, there are some small cats that we see. Serval, if we're lucky. Caracal, if we're even luckier. And if we're even luckier than that, we sometimes see African wildcat. But they're not very common. But there are a few smaller cats that we do see out here, Tongi. And if you keep watching these safaris, I'm sure one day we'll be able to find you one of them. Well, we are probably going to stay put and just hope that we get a few more visuals of it. It's going to be too difficult to reposition before the end of what has been a wonderful sunset safari. I hope you guys have all had a good time. It certainly has been wonderful from my side. Well done to everyone involved. Thanks for being on camera. Be sure to tune into the safaris tomorrow. See you then.